So, here we go.
It was filled with childish frustrations and complexes. The police were searching for James Thomas, believed
Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. It is currently 3:49 p.m. Night Movie Gang. I'm LC, and I'm here with my buddy Joseph.
Hello.
Hi. For those of you, if this is your first episode, interesting one to come in on, this is a show where we talk about mostly horror, sci-fi, cult cinema, lesser-known kind of gems. This is definitely a lesser-known gem type of film today. Today we are talking about Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. It is a 1999, or technically so it was shown in film festivals in 1999, but it didn't get like a proper release
distributor
until 2000. Yeah, until March of 2000. Crime drama film, produced, written, directed by Jim Jarmusch. It stars, the whole thing. It stars Forrest Whitaker as the title character, a hitman for the mafia who adheres to the ancient warrior code of the samurai, as outlined in the book of Tsunetomo's recorded sayings, Hagakure. Which can you pass me the Blu-ray case of Ghost Dog? Fun fact for people: if you pick up the Criterion edition of this movie. Beautiful Blu-ray. In there, you get a little pamphlet of the Hagakure. It's all the sayings that Ghost Dog says throughout the movie.
and he says like 20 of them.
There's a bunch of them. There's a lot of little.
He talks about this book a lot. He basically reads the whole fucking thing to you.
Yeah, no, it's throughout the whole movie. And it's a little niche little thing. And we were saying earlier, like, yeah, that's the fun. That's the thing that is fun about the DVDs and things. They used to put in these little things like this. And they don't anymore. But yeah, no, we're talking about this movie. I saw this movie for the first time 2 days ago, and immediately I was like, Joseph, we need to talk about this movie.
And then I saw it about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like automatically like I'm giving you less time to process it, but just basically before we talk about the movie itself, I guess as far as this movie, most of what we talked about while we were watching this movie, aside from just the influences of samurai movies, which I could ask you your history with samurai movies, but that's pretty much this podcast.
Yeah, you've been there for all of it. Yeah.
I think I want to.
So is the audience.
A lot of what we were talking about during this movie was this particular era of filmmaking, which is like this 90s kind of like indie boom era, whereas this movie,
crime thriller.
This movie feels like it's very much a cap on that era, to the point where like
you were saying it came too late.
It came a little too late. Yeah, if it had come out like 96, 95, I think
it would have been a bigger hit.
It would have been more successful. But so I want to ask you, Joseph, what's your history with like this era of film? What are some other movies like it kind of brings you into like thinking about like what? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it gives me big there's that like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, like about all these crime thrillers that came out as a result of those movies. It's like this super violent, but also it's like film, man. Like these, it's kind of like the reign of the film bro.
Yeah.
And this was kind of, you could feel that a lot with this movie, big time.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of the film bro-isms in there, but I do feel like something that you had mentioned is something I do think. I do think this movie does have a bit more sensitivity and is way less kind of indulgent.
Yes.
In the
you can tell the mission statement of the movie is like, this is a samurai movie. This is a modern samurai movie.
Yeah.
And it's paced like one.
It's paced like one. It's edited like one.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that they kind of focus on throughout the film really feels like that. Something just in terms of like the environment and how we kind of sit with the characters feels like that.
Instead of the Japanese countryside, it's a disgusting city.
Yeah, I don't
New
think
York.
I don't think they ever say if it's specifically New York, but
Yeah,
it's got
he's got like a New York accent and like I don't know.
Yeah, I think one of the things
The
is
mobs there.
Yeah, the music is another element too that makes it feel like it's because it's all like the RZA, who is going to be. By the way, we're in this episode you're listening to. We haven't watched it yet. We're also going to be talking a bit about the man with the iron fists, which the connective tissue here being the RZA, the leader, founder of the Wu-Tang Clan,
who shows up for a very. It would be a very strange scene if we didn't know who he was.
Exactly.
Because like if you hadn't told me that was RZA, I'd be like, what?
What was that for?
Yeah, because he passes RZA on the street, and he's like
power and knowledge or something like that.
Equality and power or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I respect you too. And then they just walk away from each other. It's like, who the fuck was that guy?
It was a weird little cameo.
It's like toward the end. It's weird.
Yeah, but RZA did the music for this movie and was a collaborator in the filmmaking as well. And I want to talk about Man with the Iron Fist because that is the RZA's, I believe it's directorial debut.
Yeah,
he did the music and something that like. This is something that, or one of the reasons I want to talk about, and something that really hit with this movie is like, there is this whole existing connection between martial arts and like samurai movie and Eastern culture, like Eastern art kind of thing, and black culture and hip hop and stuff that is connected. That I've always known has been there, but this movie very much, filled in the gap in my head to see really why it clicks so well.
Blends them.
And
it doesn't really shy away. It's like I want to make a movie about a black samurai, but it's like he's still living in this like urban environment. He's surrounded by Crips and Bloods and shit. And it's like it's not just picking one or the other. It's a blend. It's interesting.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the reasons why, at least for me, like why I think it works is why I think that, and RZA is a big part, and Wu-Tang is a big part of why we have that association, because a lot of the themes that are found in like a lot of these stories, like I've been watching all these Atoichi movies and all this stuff, is the same elements of like corruption and gangs and like, poor people just like being taken advantage of and stuff. It's all the same kind of elements that are reflected like in, black people in America like have always been dealing with, and like why those stories and like this culture kind of resonates so well in there, and it makes so much sense to me. And I really like this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I wanted to talk about it more. Let's we can break into the also kick-ass soundtrack. RZA did the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a sick soundtrack. I'm gonna add some of these to my actual like regular rotation.
Yeah, the main theme. Mention real quick. Yeah, the budget of $2 million, box office of $9.3 million. Let's look at a bit more of its reception.
That's not very much.
Yeah. No.
Oof.
Let's see. Yeah, the movie
still turned a profit.
Critical response to the movie was largely positive. Rotten Tomatoes review, the film has an 84% rating. So this movie is well liked.
Yeah, it's good.
Let's see. Somebody.
We were talking about how a teenage boy, if this hit him at the right point in his adolescence,
the right anime
this movie would become his entire personality.
Yeah, like if I was more of an anime kid in high school,
you can totally see. Yeah, you could totally see, because it's like, damn, that's like some really good advice for life. And wow, he's like murking these motherfuckers with dual silenced pistols. It's badass.
Man, he's so cool.
Yeah, so that's the hook, and then the philosophy makes you feel like a smart badass.
Exactly. It is. There definitely is like when I said earlier that like this movie isn't as, it's still a little indulgent.
Yeah, it's that kind of like equilibrium, where it's like it's really trying, it's like it's saying something meaningful, but don't worry, there's like some like badass shit in here too.
Don't worry, he's gonna go through and just murk fools efficiently. Which like
so that's the 90s feel that I was talking about. It's like it's trying to do both.
Yeah, it's over the top in those ways. So just going through the plot a little bit. The movie opens up with we kind of cut back to a shot of a pigeon flying through the early morning air. And we start in on Ghost Dog, living in like a shack on top of a building.
He's living at peace.
Living at peace, and at first we just see him in his shack reading his samurai book.
practicing Eastern religion. I think Buddhism, maybe.
Yeah,
don't
I think
know.
it's just a combination of philosophies that he's kind of like brought.
Yeah, he's got his own
in.
little shrine there with candles and incense that he meditates at and prays.
Yeah, like he has his own kind of process that he's forged. And right here, yeah, we get introduced to him. He says the first quote from the Hagakure that is in the movie, which this is the only one I'm going to read just because like it's the intro to the movie.
Yeah.
And I have it in front of me in this little book. The way of the samurai is found in death. Meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily. Every day when one's body and mind are at peace, one should meditate upon being ripped apart by arrows, rifles, spears, and swords, and being carried away by surging waves, being thrown into the midst of a great fire, being struck by lightning, being shaken to death by an earthquake, falling from 1,000-foot cliffs, dying of disease, and committing seppuku at the death of one's master.
Hell yeah.
And every day without fail, one should consider himself dead. This is the substance of the way of the samurai. And I was hooked. He said that, and I was like, and I was hooked. Like it does.
Fuck yeah.
Like no, I don't know what it is. Just like this, just this like really simplified version of like, I think something that like, in particular, like young men are attracted to about like these kind of stories and characters is the simplicity of like
solitary honor-bound badass.
well, just having ultimate control of like your life and your destiny, and like being like the most perfect version of yourself type of deal.
He walks the walk, ghost dog.
Yeah. And something I want to mention real quick, like we haven't even gotten to the movie. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I do like the fact that he doesn't necessarily look like the kind of stereotype that you might have of this kind of person.
Yeah, he's like a bulky guy.
He's like a bulky, like
cornrows.
Big, cornrows, big dude. Like he kind of looks like someone you might see on the street.
Yeah, I like that he didn't like shave his head or anything. Like he's still got the rose.
Yeah, no, like it's really cool.
He's wearing like a hoodie and like combat boots and shit.
Yeah, the whole time.
He's not wearing like monk robes or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this movie starts off with that, and then we kind of see him go steal a car with he has a briefcase full of weapons and gadgets, including this like car. You want to talk about this car gadget? This device.
He's got a little remote control that can like for when I first see it, he uses it to unlock a car like remotely, and I'm like, all right, maybe it like cycles through a bunch of signals until it finds the right
like
one,
the key fob, like the key fob,
and then he
thing.
gets in the car and he uses the same device to turn the car on remotely. And I'm like, well, that can't exist. That's not real. And then he uses it to like open like a remote gate later, and it's like this thing is just like some weird Batman gadget that he has. It doesn't really like the rest of the movie is fairly plausible.
Yeah, upon this second viewing, I think we're supposed to think that he created this thing, because looking at it in the movie, it does kind of look like some of his other stuff where like he
made it. Yeah,
we see him soldering it later. So like, yeah, it's not something that could be purchased.
Sure, man.
He's just a master engineer,
I guess.
Yeah, definitely a big suspension of disbelief for this device.
Yeah.
And then we see him listening in on a phone conversation using a little scanner device thingy between handsome Frank, who's really not that handsome.
He's just a guy. He said he looks like Artie Bucco.
Yeah, he looks like Artie Bucco from the we were doing a lot of Sopranos references during this viewing.
Uncle Junior is in this.
Uncle Junior.
Okay, not the actor or anything, but there's a guy who looks just like Uncle Junior.
Yeah,
He kind of talks like him too.
Very similar. It's fucking Ghost Dog.
Yeah.
It's the fucking bird man.
It's a fucking pigeon. It's a homing pigeon.
It's a messenger pigeon.
Yeah.
Like he's freaking out every 2 seconds. His character was funny. A lot of there are some funny just like mobster hijack. Like you said, I didn't expect this movie to be as mobstery as it was either. Like when I heard about it.
Yeah, it's like a third mob movie.
Yeah. No, that is a big chunk of it. But handsome Frank is sleeping with the big mob boss's daughter, and Ghost Dog has been hired to kill him. And then he does so efficiently. But then
shoots him, and like it's cool too because we see him like he's like standing there, and the guy just like turns, is like, what do you fucking want?
You know, he's trying
and then pop.
Yep, shoots him
belly,
in the,
chest, head.
Yep, shoots him in the chest 2 times, then shoots him in the head.
And the sign that this is a samurai movie is he doesn't drop immediately. He gets wounded and then he sits there for like 5 seconds and then falls back. And that happens to everyone who dies in this movie.
That's a good point. I didn't notice that. Yeah, it is like, it's one of those things. I feel like everything in this movie takes like one extra beat.
Yes.
Like everything in this movie, all the deaths, the conversations, like everyone says something. You see them reflect on it for a second, and then they
It's the samurai movie stuff, man.
Yeah.
That's all that influence. It's the direct homage.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you get swiped with a sword in a samurai movie, you stand, or you take like a couple steps and then you fall over. It's like the same language, but with guns in this movie. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. Do you think that might be an element of why maybe it didn't do so well? Do you think that the it's not even necessarily the pacing. I guess it's more just like the timing of the movie. Do you think that was something hard for audiences to kind of grasp?
It might have been a little slow for the audience that usually watched these kinds of movies back then. You know? Yeah.
Because definitely the Tarantino of this version of this movie is much faster, quicker.
It probably has the same amount of violence, though.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so that's pretty much the opening of this movie. Is that and then the daughter of the mob boss witnesses, she's reading Rashomon, the book, and she drops it,
and he just takes it.
And he just takes it. They kind of cut away from Black before they show what happens next, and overall, I mean, what do you think about this opening as far as like communicating what you need to know? Like, were you confused at this point? Like,
no, I was on board. I think this was the point where I was like, oh, this premise fucking rules. Like it's like, okay, what's a modern samurai? Well, it's like a hitman, essentially. Like, or like a bodyguard, but that's way less interesting than it being a hitman. And then it's like, look at the way the mob used black people. It's like they found a way to make it fit modern society pretty perfectly.
Yeah. It's also kind of a thing where like Ghost Dog is bringing in his own representation of like him seeing himself as a samurai, because that's not necessarily how Louis sees the relationship, which Louis being
they all just see him as a fucking weirdo.
Whereas like so that's another character we get introduced along the sequence. Right after the sequence is when we get introduced to most of the main mob guys. We get introduced to Louis, who is Ghost Dog's Ghost Dog works for Louis. Ghost Dog sees him as a master. He's a gangster who goes to Ghost Dog for assassinations when needed, outside of the mob. Louis gets called in to see his bosses. So Vargo is the main mafia boss, and then Sonny is the dude with the crimson jacket, who's
the guy who likes hip hop.
The guy who likes hip hop, which is a fun little thing. They get called into a meeting with him, and basically they want Louis to help them find and kill.
Yeah, you got to kill this guy.
Because basically he's a loose end. The daughter was not supposed to be at Handsome. She wasn't supposed to witness the murder. Yeah. And basically they want to kill Ghost Dog just to like kind of wrap things up, because they can't kill the daughter. Yeah. As like a witness, but if they kill Ghost Dog, then that's like all the evidence gone.
Yeah, they're like they're like pissed.
Yeah. And this scene where Louis is trying to explain to these guys about how hard it's going to be to find Ghost Dog is really funny, because every bit of information that Louis gives them,
they're like, you're not going to like any of this. First off, I only communicate with him via carrier pigeon, and that's not a joke. That's actually true in the movie. He's got pigeons.
Yeah, Ghost Dog sends out, basically a pigeon comes to Louis' house every day.
Yeah. And they're like, what? Via pigeon?
And like they send little messages, like little pieces of paper between each other, and that's how also Ghost Dog, something that I found great, he only gets paid every year on the first day of autumn. Yeah, like all the contracts that he fills out, he gets paid backlog from all those every year, which I mean, the only reason
a weird little detail about him.
The only reason I can kind of buy that making sense is that like it does not seem that Ghost Dog has that many expenses.
Yeah, I mean, you could see that being like, I will take it all in one lump sum, and you be very vigilant and like distribute it out through the year.
Yeah. So it makes sense in my head.
It kind of makes sense for like a weird samurai guy to do that. Yeah. And have it be the first day of a season and not a month.
Yeah. They didn't have months back then. Yeah. They tell him his name's Ghost Dog. They're like, what? They're like,
Ghost
what?
Dog?
All these rappers.
The fuck you mean, Ghost Dog?
He said Ghost Dog.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Get the fuck out of here.
It's like all the rappers, and we find out that Sonny is a fan of rap, but a fan of like more like 80s, early 90s, kind of like commercial rap.
He name checks like 10 rappers.
Yeah, and it's
like, oh, this guy likes hip hop. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like a fun little character thing as far as like, I don't know, maybe it could be an
old mobster likes hip hop.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it could be a thing just to connect. Maybe be like, oh, maybe he connect the villain and the hero type thing. I don't know. Yeah. So after this scene, let's see, girls in the room, homing pigeon. After this scene, we get I believe we get Ghost Dog's a little scene of him practicing with the sword. Yeah. Which, funnily enough,
he never ever uses it.
He never uses it in combat. I feel like
I was expecting that to be the finale, like Kill Bill style. Like he was gonna fucking take down the rest of them, including Louis, with a sword.
Nah, he just uses guns. I mean, here's the thing though. Like I kind of understand that as first. I think the sword and practicing with the knife and shit is more like part of his meditation, and like part of just kind of like his process rather than like something he actually
studies the blade.
Yeah, he studies the blade more for the mental side of it than like physical, because he is badass with guns. Like he does not miss.
No. No, he's a total badass.
Yeah, except the goofy. How he like
yeah, that's another thing. This movie has a lot of repetition, and one of the things it repeats is the way he reholsters his guns is he does like a little figure 8 with the barrel and puts it away. like even like with like a samurai sword, you just kind of like flick the blood off or like wipe it off and put it in. I don't know what the fuck he's doing with those guns. I guess they just thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was like a Forrest Whitaker character thing. Like, no, he's got to do it like that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of repetition. There's like the quotes. It's him stealing a car and driving it around. That happens like 4 times. Mobsters watching cartoons on TV.
All the cartoons. There are 6 cartoons.
Yeah, they watch a lot of public domain old timey cartoons. There's a lot, like the movie is very like cyclical almost. I feel like it's trying to do some kind of, like, I know it's very methodical and very like kind of deliberately paced, but I think it's also trying to do like some like Eastern meditative thing. I don't know.
Very understandable how, like we said earlier, some high school kid
was like, this is the greatest movie ever made.
Definitely.
And this is now inexorably part of my soul.
Yeah, 100%. It's that kind of, something that I do think is a big prop to this movie. I wanted to watch it again as soon as I finished it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there is so much to read, and I feel like there's more I caught this time.
Yeah.
And I feel like upon every subsequent viewing, I'm going to read something different, or I'm going to interpret something differently. And I think that is a big positive. I think that there is a lot of to read within this movie. You know? Yeah,
I agree.
There's
a lot of it's a big film.
Yeah.
It's a film.
For sure.
This is less, it's got a little bit of movie in there, but it's like in that 90s sense where it's like, no, this demands to be taken seriously.
It's not that deep, but I think
it insists upon itself.
I think the movie is just very earnest.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I think that it's not trying.
And I respect that.
I don't think it's trying to be anything more than it is, especially like with there's a handful of action scenes that I think are done well for what they are, but like you can tell that it is very low budget.
Yeah.
But I do think they
they're not the point of the movie, but they're to be expected, so they're there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I think it uses budget wisely. So the next scene, an important scene, we get introduced to Pearline. Ghost Dog is hanging out in a park eating ice cream.
Yep.
And there are some which I believe that there's a
dog there.
Yeah, there's a dog there. I believe some of the rappers there are some of the members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
That's cool.
That are freestyling in the park. Ghost Dog watches them. And then
it's after he already said hi to some Bloods. Now he's saying hi to some Crips.
Exactly.
And they're both just like, oh, fuck yeah, dude, it's Ghost Dog.
Yo, it's Ghost Dog. Represent. They all, like, everybody in the neighborhood respects Ghost Dog.
They love Ghost Dog.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't?
You know what was a weird little moment in this movie that never came to, but I forgot about it. When Ghost Dog sees like a gang member, like he's sneaking up on a guy carrying his groceries to the car.
Yeah.
This dude, just like some random man, and then the grocery guy like puts his stuff down and like karate kicks.
Yeah,
the dude
I was
in the
kind
face.
of. I was like, is that going to be like a mentor or something?
Is Ghost Dog gonna fight him later?
Nope, never comes back.
Yeah.
So that's just yet another thing I'll just have to process in my own time and try to figure out what the fuck it meant.
It might be there might be an implication there that like they're trying to say that, like, hey, there are other people who are kind of like following
the code,
following like martial arts or the Eastern ways.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of stuff. It's like, I mean, that you could draw another connection to The Sopranos, where it's like, it's like this thing seems meaningless in the moment, but if you can apply your own meaning to it in regards to how it affects the story and like the themes and whatever.
Yeah,
it's cool. There's a lot of weird little 90s things like that. Honestly, like I remember at some point I was like, yo, when did The Wire come out?
this feels very Wiry.
But if you like The Sopranos, this kind of honestly,
it feels like a weird Sopranos episode.
It has that kind of like, it's taking itself seriously, but it's not scared to like be risky, like with being weird.
Yeah, it's well balanced in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ghost Dog has this little moment in the park with a little girl comes up with a lunchbox, and she's kind of like how he has his briefcase, and she kind of talks to him like, my mom says that you're a fucking weirdo with no friends that doesn't talk to people, and they have a little moment where she shows him like
all the books that she's reading, and it's like a wide variety of things. Yeah, it's
and
like a romance novel she hasn't really read, and then there's Frankenstein
and Ghost Dog kind of sees like the light in this child, I guess, as far as like he's kind of intellectual and knowledge is important to him, and he sees
this too.
Sees in this girl. We get introduced to he introduces her to he gives her the Rashomon.
Yeah.
Like, I got this for when I killed somebody.
Yeah. He doesn't say that. But
he doesn't say that, but
we said that.
We get introduced to Louis, who's
his French friend.
His French friend who runs a really cool looking ice cream truck.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak English, and Ghost Dog doesn't understand French, so like I feel like part of it's done for laughs, but part of it is like I kind of understand the fact that like there are things that go beyond physical words in terms of like how they communicate. Yeah,
and also he can only have a friend who doesn't understand him because his life is so secret and solitary.
Yeah,
is what I read.
Yeah,
and that works out at the end, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, but it's a cute little relationship. He gives
they're buddies.
Rashomon to Pearline, being like, I need you to tell me what you think of it later.
Yeah.
Which is, you were worried that she was going to be along the whole movie.
Yeah, I was like, oh god, Iron Man 3. Is this
not a kid sidekick?
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want, because like a lot of the time you'll get like a solitary cool protagonist, and it's like, okay, what's this guy doing? And then they give him like the most annoying fucking person ever to bounce off of. So like, yeah, that happens. That especially in the 90s, and I'm just thankful that's not how this went.
I feel I mean, we didn't need that. I think we learn a lot about Ghost Dog's headspace through the quotes from the book, but then also I think Forrest Whitaker he's able to translate a lot of emotion and a lot of like complex interpretations of what he's feeling just through his eyes and his face, despite him not having the most flexible face. You can still read a lot.
He's the right man for this role for sure.
100%. This role was written for him,
really,
specifically.
It's perfect. Like, he's like this big guy who's like just quiet. He's like very soft spoken.
Yeah. No.
It's great.
Very good. The mafia is looking for Ghost Dog. They're killing other random homeless men who live on rooftops with pigeons. Really who don't deserve to be fucking
It's like
killed.
This old dude who clearly has never hurt anyone in his life, and they just like, fuck it, and they shoot him.
Fuck it, he's a black guy.
And then they call him the N-word right after that.
The mafia are racist pieces of shit throughout this whole movie.
I mean, that's what I was saying is like, man, I always forget every piece of like mafia media that I like, how racist everyone is in those movies, which is like, they were, so. And I mean, it fits the theme too. It's like these people don't care about these other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, Ghost Dog, they do find Ghost Dog's shack when he's not there, and they kill all the birds and fuck his shack up, and it's real sad.
It is sad.
It is sad.
It's a bird massacre, dude.
Yeah, it's a real sad moment.
And that's when you know he's going to fuck him up.
Exactly. Now it's a revenge story.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
what
said.
I say. Yeah.
They kill John Wick's dog.
Yeah.
Comes after him.
It's like, oh, shit, now he's got to get revenge.
Yeah. He has some hidden guns under the floorboards. He picks those up. He crafts his... we skipped the scene where like he encounters Louis, and he
holds the gun to his head.
He crafts his homemade silencer, which you thought was really cool.
It is sick looking.
His like old worn out gun that he made his custom silencer for.
I love that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. He what's it called? Yeah, he steals another car and. He goes to like the red light district, like the prostituting area. Yeah. And there's a big dude in a suit and a prostitute woman who are walking by, and he
robs them both of their clothes for some reason, even though he only needs the suit.
Yeah, he robs them so calmly too, because he's holding the gun. He's like, "Please go into the alley, please."
Yeah, he's holding a gun. This is because he knows he doesn't really have to raise his voice.
Exactly. He steals his...
I don't know why he stole her dress.
He didn't need to.
It never comes back up. He just wanted the dress.
Do you think it was like a producer being like, we need some sex in this movie?
We need to see this woman in her underwear. Whatever, man.
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It's not a super important thing, but it is just a weird detail.
It is.
He changes into this suit. He's looking fresh.
He does look cool as fuck. He's got this purple suit.
Yeah, he looks like he
steals another car.
Yeah, he walked out of a Tarantino movie. And I do like the quote that he says at that point from the book where it's like, samurai, like, make sure to have some rouge on you. It's, basically the message of it is like, don't look weak. Yeah,
don't let them see. Yeah, don't give any indication that you're weak and unable to fight.
Exactly. And part of it too is I think so that he can be more unassuming coming up to the...
Yeah, it's also like put on a disguise if you need to, and that's what he's doing in that scene. He's like... Because that quote is happening as he's stealing a Mercedes to drive up to this fancy house.
Yeah. He scopes out this fancy house compound thing where the mafia, or most of them, are staying. And he uses his magic box to open the gate.
Yeah, he does. This thing is insane. He uses it all the time too.
Yeah, it's a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, it is. He literally just made himself a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah,
it works on everything
except for wood. Doctor Who. Didn't think I'd be referencing Doctor Who on this show. But anyway, so he fucking he rolls up to the house being like, "Hey, I have a meeting with so and so." And then we get what is pretty much like the biggest action set piece in this movie.
Yeah.
And he just like super efficiently wipes out like fucking more than a dozen dudes.
It's a very satisfying scene because he does like gun kata at some point. It's like he comes in dual wielding silenced pistols.
Yeah.
And just rips them. Like as soon as he gets in, he drops the act and just starts shooting motherfuckers.
Exactly. And he never misses. Like
he does this like cool spin around with his two guns and like points them both. He doesn't miss a single shot.
Yeah, he's super calm. He doesn't look stressed. He never like doubles back. Like he always.
It's the scene in it's like the end of what's the movie? What's the samurai movie where he just goes berserk at the end?
Sword of Doom.
Yeah, it's the end of Sword of Doom
or Harakiri. Probably more like Harakiri, just in terms of the timing of it.
Yeah. Just starts slicing them up.
Yeah, just starts getting them, and like you said, I didn't notice it, but the fact that everybody waits a beat when they die, like they get shot, they die. You know?
It's just like a samurai movie.
Yep,
very intentional.
He comes up on the mob boss, shoots him. The daughter of the mob boss is there, and she's like, "It's you again." I'd say probably
he killed another person in front of her. Yeah. I don't know what she's supposed to represent.
You know what? I will say she's probably what I would call the weak. I remember when
she's not even a character.
When I first saw the movie, I thought her and Ghost Dog were going to have some kind of relationship because she was reading the Rashomon like, okay, so she's on the same
but then
level.
He took the book from her, and at the end she's watching cartoons like the mobster, and she's got like her sunglasses on.
Oh, she's become a simpleton.
I think she has a negative arc. And it's
Okay.
because she saw the violence that he did, or something like that.
Gotcha.
But she's not really a character. She's just kind of a plot device.
Yeah, she could have had more of a role. Like didn't you say like, oh, this is who Uma Thurman would have been
Yeah, she kind of looks like Uma Thurman in like Pulp Fiction.
in the Tarantino version of this?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So yeah, she witnesses it again. Ghost Dog. There's just one mobster left, Sonny Valero, who's kind of the main guy calling all the shots. And just to kind of go through quickly, like Ghost Dog has another scene with why am I forgetting his name? Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look at the boat. I remember this part.
Yeah, this man is building a boat, and they're both just like, how the fuck is he gonna get that down?
Mm-hmm. Ghost Dog. It's a rainy night, and Ghost Dog finds out where Sonny Valero's hiding. He kills the guy guarding him, and then he goes to the basement. And what I think is a really cool fucking kill in this movie. Sonny, what's up?
I think it's cool.
He's in the basement, and Sonny Valero's about to like take a shower or whatever. He's in the bathroom.
He's singing to some old hokey ass hip hop from the 80s.
Yep, he's going for it. And Ghost Dog turns the water off, opens up like the pipe right underneath his sink.
Yeah. In
the basement.
Yeah.
Points his gun up. The laser pointer goes through the fucking.
He sees a laser pointer. And he looks like, what the hell is that? And then he gets shot through the brain.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of it. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, it's clever.
Yep. And then after that point, Ghost Dog returns to Louis, and he sees Pauline. He gets the Rashomon back from the book. They have a little conversation about Rashomon. Ghost Dog gives her the Hagakure, I can't remember, the samurai book. And then Louis shows up for the final showdown.
Yep. What is this, high noon?
Ghost Dog even says it.
Ghost Dog unloads all his guns.
Yep, unloads all of his guns. So doesn't even have his guns loaded.
Yeah, and the only person who saw him unload his guns can't communicate that his guns aren't loaded. The guy is about to kill him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Louis kills him, but Ghost Dog goes out like a badass. Like he gets shot 4 times.
He's just walking and just gets shot and doesn't react like 4 times. Like, what? You don't feel that?
Yeah. Fucking and then he eventually goes down. And then Pauline tries to shoot Louis with Ghost Dog's gun, but it's unloaded.
He gives Louis Rashomon.
Yeah, he gives Louis Rashomon.
And he's like, just promise to read it and then tell me what you think when we see each other again.
In the afterlife.
Yeah, find me and tell me what you think.
Yep, type deal. Yep, and it's a sad ending for Ghost Dog.
Yep.
And then we get a little epilogue snippet of Pauline reading the reading from the book, indicating that
kind of understand everything that he did.
Exactly, indicating that hey, maybe we'll get a sequel with her as the, like you said, the new Ghost Dog.
Ghost Dogette.
Ghost Dog, Spirit of Vengeance. And that's the end of the movie. You said you were kind of lukewarm on it.
No, I thought the ending was a little anticlimactic, but that might just be like my Western sensibilities or whatever.
Did you want like a big end fight type deal?
I was thinking it was going to be more like Taxi Driver.
I see what you're saying.
Like there was going to be like some big gesture that he made, but it just kind of like death just kind of came and he just kind of greeted it. And I mean, it's perfect for the character and the story. It's just like, it's a strange third act. There's not like a real button on it. He just kind of dies. Yeah. And Louis gets away.
I feel like it could have built maybe towards something bigger. Like maybe if like this might be, like I said, this might be the more generic type of Western thing, but maybe like Sonny kidnaps Pauline and is like, you have to come if you want to save the girl, Ghost Dog.
Yeah, maybe that would have been a little cheesier, I guess.
Cheesy, but something like that where like maybe there was a bit more at stake. Like
I was thinking it's like I need to for the soul of the city or some shit like that. Like because this movie did remind me a little bit of Taxi Driver pretty much the whole way, but Taxi Driver where the lead is like in the right for the most part, even though he's like a murderous monster. Yeah. He kills dudes who killed a bear. Cause,
I forgot about that scene.
For him, bears are are on the same level as people.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
an environmental message.
it's also a thing where like the whole time, like it is a metaphor for him because like these big black bastards are infesting everywhere. It's very much that Get Out scene. Like these deer are a fucking
they say it as a metaphor, and then when he doesn't leave, they just say it outright. Like there's also not a lot of black guys around here.
Maybe you should fucking get back in your fancy car.
That's what they say. These like hick hunters.
Yeah, no, it's
and then he kills their asses.
It's a real well shot like little scene. That final shot of Ghost Dog with the gun pointed out at him, just
and the guy laying next to the bear.
Yeah,
because they're the same.
Yeah, no, but just really cool movie.
It is a cool movie.
It'd make a great video game.
Modern Samurai.
Yeah. Let's pick through. There are a lot of cool little things. Can we just mention all the shit that we'd want to have in the movie?
Yeah, I really like his jacket.
His jacket with the
thing on the back. I don't know what it is, but it's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's his logo.
The doohickey's cool too.
The doohickey is cool, but it does kind of just look like a box with a light on it.
That's true.
I'd like the doohickey if it worked.
Yeah, my prop is the I like his gun. I like his custom
silencer
1911. That's like you can tell it's been worn and it's really cared for, and like he's built a silencer using like washers and steel wool and fucking electrical tape and shit.
And he attached like a laser light to it too.
I think that aesthetic, that like sort of like super DIY weaponry is like in a city is super cool.
Yeah, no, it's a really nice, like a lot of what little they had to build for this movie as far as like the I think I want Louis' ice cream truck. I just think it's a really cool looking vehicle.
Man, you're collecting cars.
Yeah, no, just like what little production design they did have in this movie. Like there was definitely a lot of thought and personality put into the stuff that they did build and make. But I think the car. I was gonna take Ghost Dog's jacket. Actually, no, I want Ghost Dog's his medallion. His medallion.
It is a sick ass medallion.
Yeah, his bling, bro.
Yeah, that shit rules.
Yeah,
he's honestly just a great character design.
Yeah, no, yeah,
he just looks fucking sick.
He looks sick. He's got a cool personality.
Yeah, he's like and he's likable.
I was gonna say like I am kind of glad they never made a sequel, because if they did, I like that
Ghost Dog 2,
Electric Boogaloo. I like how we never really find out how he became a badass. Like all we know about his past is that Louis saved him from getting killed by some dudes. We don't know why those dudes were even beating him up in the first place.
My interpretation was he found that book and it changed his life.
I see.
Like he just decided to model his life after the code in this book because it just made sense to him.
It just fixed his life at that moment.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And that's why he's trying to pass the book on. I don't know.
That's a good read of it.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, but Ghost Dog, check it out. There's the Criterion Blu-ray, but it is also for peeps at home. It's on the Criterion channel, the subscription service, which just overall, I highly recommend that service. There's just a great selection of, like, if you're a fan of, this is going to sound me sounding very hipster, but if you're a fan of film that isn't like franchise film, that is just like movies existing like as their own pieces of art, pretty much everything on, like, most of what's on there is like that, just like individual pieces of art.
Love it.
Also, the Criterion channel only has one tier of service, and it's ad free.
Yes.
Like always, like there are no ads anywhere, so it's a great service.
We're not sponsored, by the way.
We're not sponsored.
But that'd be fucking cool. They'll never sponsor this show, though. Yeah, because we talk about fucking monster movies.
We are way more likely to get sponsored by Tubi. Which I'm also cool
with. Or Shudder
with.
Or something.
Or Shudder.
Yeah.
Which I'm also cool with. But check out Ghost Dog. The next movie we're going to talk about, it'll be an hour and a half for us, but instantaneous for y'all. We're gonna be talking about Man with the Iron Fist. We're also gonna record a commentary track for it as well. So
check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, sign up for the Patreon. All the commentary tracks are up there. They're not necessarily coming out monthly anymore. I actually changed the thing as far as like, but there's a good selection on there of ones that if you want to check out, have access to.
Yeah.
We've also been putting up the highlight reels. From some of those. The most recent one that's up is the Fly 2 commentary track. Please check that out. I think it came out really good. I think it's really funny.
It is funny.
You can check that out on YouTube. And so we'll be back in a second. Chop.
2 hours later.
Folks at home, I'm gonna say that this is where the thing begins. We just finished Man with the Iron Fists. This is gonna be short. It wasn't good.
No, it sucked.
Yeah.
Sorry if you like this.
Sorry if you waited the whole 2 seconds for us to. I'm just checking to see. I have the Blu-ray up now. I'm checking to see. We watched the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Okay, so the unrated cut is about 12 minutes longer.
Cool. I'm good not knowing what's in that 12 minutes.
Don't need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like this movie, I kind of get it, but it's just not like I feel like I would have liked it at like age 13, 14.
Yeah.
Back when I was like, ooh, strong directorial decisions make a movie good. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, it's not very good.
Yeah. To reiterate to people, The Man with the Iron Fist is a 2012 American martial arts film directed by the RZA, written by the RZA and Eli Roth.
Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. It's co-written. I didn't know that was also written by Eli Roth.
Yeah.
Wow, that tracks.
Yeah, it is a mess. We were talking about it while we were watching, but I think the biggest thing that does, there are quite a few things. I think the biggest thing that does go against it is the fact that it was cut down from what was clearly a very filled 4 hours.
It was cut down a lot, but they still tried to include everything, just like less of everything, you know?
Yeah, and it really doesn't work.
It feels like a Chex Mix of a movie. Like there's just so much of everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's unfortunate because I feel like there are some cool ideas in here somewhere. Yeah. Like some of the character concepts are pretty. I think that the Man with the Iron Fist himself, RZA's character, has an interesting backstory of like this idea of like, spoiler alert, you're not gonna fucking watch the movie.
You shouldn't.
He was an American slave who bought his freedom.
Yeah.
He was basically.
We learned this 2/3 of the way through the movie, by the way.
We learned this basically in the middle of as we go into the third act.
He spends like the first hour of this movie doing fucking nothing.
Yeah, just kind of wandering around, giving narration on other characters that we find him. There's like 3 or 4 times in this movie where they introduce a new set of characters or a new clan or a new gang or something, and then they're all wiped out in 5 minutes. And
and it's like, what's the stakes? Like, this movie is like a big power struggle for like this town.
Yeah.
But it's like, why do I give a fuck who gets this town? Like, I don't really like any of you people. And plus, like, who are the actual people who live here who aren't in charge and aren't like weird superheroes? It's a mess of a movie.
Yeah. Did you have if any character in this movie that you think you could like, that you think would be someone to focus on as far as like if you were to make a solo movie?
RZA's character.
Yeah.
I think it should have been about him. That's the title of the movie, and it should have, like, he's got the most interesting backstory, and he could have the best like revenge story, and like there's a lot of potential with that character, and yet we're here focusing on this stupid political struggle.
Yeah.
With like all these characters. There's literally a scene where 2 characters arrive into town, and then they had their little like gimmick that they fight with, and then they die in the same scene.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to feel bad about it.
We really just didn't need them at all.
No.
Yeah. What's your prop? I know what I want.
I'll take the gun knife. I think it's dumb, but I'd like to see if it actually spins.
I want
Jack Knife, who's we called him Kurt Russell for most of the movie. So when you listen to the commentary, we're being stupid for a lot of it.
Yeah, it is Russell Crowe.
It's Russell Crowe.
I want Jack Knife's. I want his fit from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, the wardrobe is great.
He thought, the wardrobe. Honestly, the costumes throughout a lot of this movie is great. But the thing was, honestly, it made it seem like he was going to be a different character than he was.
Yeah.
He had this like really cool like half kimono, like Japanese.
Yeah, he was wearing
material.
Like man with no name,
cowboy.
Where he was wearing like a kimono as the poncho.
Yeah.
Looked great.
Like it was a really interesting design. It was a cool fit.
All the wardrobe shit was cool.
Yeah, and that's really about as cool as it was.
Music was super inconsistent.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can tell that RZA was like very passionate about this, but you could also kind of tell
he was in over his head.
Yeah, that like with a movie with this many moving parts, it's a difficult movie.
Yeah,
as like
it's a very big, ambitious movie.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah. right now.
And it has nothing to do with the first movie that we watched.
No, nothing at all except RZA.
Yeah.
It's the only connecting point.
There's like nothing.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. This has been Midnight Movie Gang. You can check us out on YouTube at Midnight Movie Gang Podcast. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're almost at 200 subs, so get it going. Get there. Yeah, thank you so much for listening again. 6:14 p.m. Night Movie Gang, and have a nice night, gang.
Night.
Bye.
So, here we go. With child expectations and complexes which the police are searching for James Thomas, believed to be the lover of Dave Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Where's everybody? They're not here. They're all gone. Oh, please tell me where they've gone. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How long is it? How could I got in here? Please take us to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent, special agent.